In this video I'm going to show you one of the folders that I put together for you. This is a process called VPA and Pocket Pivots Today. Now I have the 5-day pocket pivot and the 10-day pocket pivot. Notice that this column right here is the days since the VPA signal. 0 is for today's crossover. It has to be a 0 to be the crossover. This is using yesterday's data, and I'm doing this intraday at 12:28 on Wednesday. What is the date today? It's January 27th. So by using this, you can see the stocks that had a VPA signal yesterday and also either a 5 or a 10-day pocket pivot. And you can see what those VPA signals were at the time. The information I have on here is the intraday percentage price change one day and the percent volume divided by the 50-day moving average volume. If you look over further to the right, you'll see that there are scorecard numbers over here and also the force indexes. But this is primarily what I'm using right here, and these can be tightened up, of course, to get more information on the screen, and you can alter these by moving other columns closer, such as the force index columns. Anyway, I can see the stocks that had a signal. I can sort on these signals. The current signal, or I'm sorry, the current combo is the industry percentage price change one day, and the filter shows multiple VPA signals, and this is the key line right here for the 5-day pocket pivot. It's a percent volume divided by the greatest previous 5-day down volume. If it's greater than 0, that means there was a pocket pivot today. Now let's see how this worked out. I'll just bring up a chart here. I need to get a VPA chart in here. So let's go into the white background chart. I'll use the one with support and resistance. And you can see that yesterday, remember I am doing this intraday, so there is follow through today right there. But here is the pocket pivot from yesterday, and here is the signal yesterday, effort to rise, and it looks like this stock wants to go higher. Notice back here that there was an effort to rise, and there was also a pocket pivot on this day, which would have gotten somebody in lower had they noticed this. Now I also want to point out that on both pocket pivot days that the force indexes both fired too, and then on this pullback day the force indexes went negative and fired again yesterday. A user wrote the other day, and he said he wanted to be able to have a pocket pivot fire when there was an effort to rise and also both force indexes. Well, this meets that criteria, and I wrote back, I said I think by putting all four of those factors in the filter, you're kind of limiting yourself, because in this instance it would have worked, but there are some days where the force 2 will fire, or there's a pocket pivot and an effort to rise, and you may not get the force indexes firing. Highly unlikely, but it could happen. So why not just use your pocket pivot, which you know you want, and also a VPA signal. He wanted the effort to rise, but just looking at this, why not use all of these? If you want effort to rise only, just sort on this, resort again, and get effort to rise to the top of the list, and here is your list of stocks. You can also look over here and look at the best fit trends, the VPA best fit trends. This stock was going down on the longer term, around 40 days. The 10-day trend was down, short-term trend is up, but we're getting an effort to rise, we're getting a pocket pivot, and you can see that that happened yesterday. Now we're not getting much follow through. This is an inexpensive stock, by the way, but once again these conditions were all met yesterday. Effort to rise, both force indexes, pocket pivot. Let's just go down through some of these. Here's Advanced Auto Parts. Just by letting the pocket pivots fire and the effort to rise, the force index is fired. Now going back a day though, here a pocket pivot fired. There was no effort to rise signal, but the 2-day force was positive. So that's why I think just by using the pocket pivots and a VPA signal together is sufficient. You can quickly flip through the charts to see which are meeting your criteria. Now back here, this is another example of a pocket pivot, but a different VPA signal. And if you click on that VPA signal and look over here, it was an up bar closing near the high following a buy condition, and that buy condition was right here the prior day. So by not limiting yourself to a requirement of having too many factors involved in the filter, I think there are other opportunities that will present themselves. Anyway, this is just a short video to show you one of the things that I've done in here. I have both a 5 and 10-day pocket pivot. If you look at the 10-day pocket pivot, you'll see up here at the top 138 securities. Past that, on the 5-day, 202. Sometimes the 5-day pocket pivot and the 10-day pocket pivot are one and the same, or they both fire. So anyway, I gave you two options, and this is something we'll be discussing further in the future. Thanks for listening.